Hello, fellow gamers. Welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast, hosted by three lifelong gamer dads. As you listen to the intro here, please take a couple of seconds to rate us 5 stars and toss us a follow on socials everywhere at Video Gamers Pod. Today is a special Hijack a Host pre-dive episode. That means that we have an upcoming deep dive game that we'll have to play and cover, but the game is not yet known to us. There is only one host here that is in the know, and they are going to be revealing that game to us here over the course of the next half hour or so. I am your host, Paul, and joining me, he's cruising around on a boat, demanding obols from people before asking for a 5-star rating for being the best ferryman around. It's Josh.
I love that I prepared that for you, Paul.
You sure did.
And you
I don't even know what it means.
Number one, but you have zero clue what any of that means at the same time.
I want to Google obols so I know what the heck it is.
No.
I won't do it.
Yeah, but
and
yes.
ferrymen and ratings.
Yeah,
I got no idea.
5 stars, right? That
Can't
was
wait
just
to
a
find
subliminal reminder to people to rate the show 5 stars.
Nice. And then joining Josh and me, he is a cat-loving guy who saves cats from certain death, but in this case, he might just be a cat. It's it's Ryan.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
That's a true story. Ryan rescued a cat today from the interstate on-ramp.
I did. It was quite an interesting situation.
And then it's funny because legitimately this game has a cat named Daffodil. And so it just fit in perfectly.
Oh, look at that. Everything lines up.
Yeah.
And we know how much Ryan loves cats.
Oh yeah, he's a huge cat guy.
Look, I'm almost a little surprised Ryan stopped on the side of the road to help a cat.
You're the second person that said that. What do you mean?
Really? Nah, that doesn't surprise me.
I'm a huge animal lover, man.
Yeah.
Just because I wouldn't want one of those animals doesn't mean I don't love animals.
Yeah, you did not keep the cat, but you did find a good loving home because we know you're not going to keep any cats.
Yeah.
That's all I mean.
And believe it or not, this is the second cat I've rescued that this friend took. Like 15 years ago, I found another cat that this guy took too. So
it's just like this guy Ryan keeps bringing me cats, man.
I told him every 15 years I'll bring him another cat.
Ryan's the cat magnet. That can be your new nickname
on
the show. All right, so Josh, you are the one who is in the know today. Whenever we have a supporter on Patreon go legendary, they get to select a game. They get to pick one host who has to play the game. Josh, why don't you kind of explain this whole process and what we're going to be doing today?
So for people that are listening that don't know, we do allow people to support us. We allow you to support us. That sounds weird. Let me try that again. For people that support the show and want to go the extra mile and support us at the highest tier, which we have appropriately deemed legendary, one of the perks that you get for being a legendary supporter of the show is that you get to pick a game and a host that you can make play that game. We like to call it a Hijack a Host episode. We've been doing a lot of these lately. We ain't complaining because we sure love and appreciate the support. But one of our longtime listeners, Cykasniber, went legendary, reached out to me and said, "Hey, Josh, I know the game. I know the host. They told me what it was." And I said, "That's awesome. We'll let you know when we're recording the episode," which I did earlier today. And here we are. We are going to reveal the game that Cykasniber picked and the host that they picked to play this game. Now, here's the fun part. I'm the only person that knows any of this stuff. Ryan doesn't know. Paul doesn't know. Could be either one of them. No idea what the game could be. So this is why we have fun with this and we do it this way, because you, the listeners, are going to find out exactly like the hosts find out. Live on the air. It's a lot of fun. We talk about the game. We kind of talk about the reactions and stuff like that as well. But thanks to Cykasniber going legendary, here we are with an awesome pre-dive episode.
Yes, and thank you so much to Cykasniber for going legendary. Anyone else who wants to sign up, multiplayersquad.com, go check it out. Josh, you get the reins for the rest of the show. You've got your own outline. You've got info about the game. You're going to kind of tease this out over time. So you get the ship controls from here on out, buddy.
Josh loves this so much.
I really do. We talk about it all the time, but then I'm like, man, I don't have any worries. I don't have any pressure on me other than to just not completely destroy this episode. Paul is our main host and he's phenomenal at it. And then when I get up here and I start talking, it just isn't the same. And I'm like, man, really makes me appreciate Paul as a host.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to tease the game a little bit because I want to get some of y'all's reactions and kind of thoughts as we go into this, knowing that it's one of you two. We'll reveal the game. We'll kind of get some reactions there. Then we'll reveal who's playing it. And then we'll kind of talk about how we think it's going to land and things like that. Since I'm doing all the talking, obviously I am not at risk at being chosen here. So I want to play. Let's start off by playing a little game. Okay. We're all gamers. We go through a lot of games. I recently just announced that I picked up Armored Core 6 because I was kind of in the mood for something different. Sometimes we go through a run where we're playing just nothing but RPGs. And it's like, man, the last thing I want to do is have to play another RPG right now. Doesn't mean we don't like them, but gaming kind of comes in waves, right?
Sure.
And it's like, sometimes I have famously said that I have to be in the mood for a Dark Souls game, and if I'm not, I absolutely just don't want to play one. So let's start off. What genre of game are you absolutely not in the mood for right now?
That mood for a Souls game.
Okay, so Ryan,
I got plenty of that already with No Rest, and that was more than enough for me.
Famously, Ryan does not like Souls games at all, and we have been talking about making him play Elden Ring for a while now, so I think Ryan's a little nervous that might be coming to fruition.
One of these days.
Ryan he's always bracing for impact, expecting that. Yeah. For me, I would say the only genre I'm not in the mood for is like horror games. Okay. I definitely have to be in the right mindset. I love the Resident Evil games. If it's like an action horror, I'm all for it. If it's something that's a little more straight horror, like how in the past we've covered Devour, Phasmophobia, stuff like that, I have to be in the right mindset to enjoy. If that's thrust upon me, usually that's a little bit harder to get over.
Okay. All right. So on the opposite end, what's a genre that you're kind of craving right now? Maybe one you had, Paul, you just got done playing Persona 5. Massive. I mean, you put 70 hours into Persona 5, which, by the way, kudos, because I would never do, and I know Ryan would never do either. No.
Yeah.
Once again, props to Paul there. But I mean, what's a genre that sounds like it'd be good right now?
All right. So I just played Persona 5. I just played Detroit Become Human. I just played No Rest for the Wicked. I'm feeling something first person. Okay. I would love first person shooter, first person puzzle game, something like that, adventure. I could see that being right up my alley at this point.
What about you, Ryan?
Well, I'm in the midst of Senua's. Was it the first one?
Senua's Saga.
A Saga. Okay.
Oh wait, Sacrifice. No.
Yeah,
sorry, Sacrifice. The first one.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the midst of that, and just getting sucked into kind of the story and the atmosphere. Right now, after playing so much, of the Helldivers and No Rest for the Wicked and stuff that we've played, I would love a good action RPG, just where I can have all the combat and the gunplay, but then also get a really good story with puzzles and whatnot. So something along those lines would be pretty cool.
You just had an action RPG, Ryan, and then you whined about it.
Yeah. That's action roll simulator is what it was.
Grindfest RPG.
Oh man,
MMO light.
We're talking about No Rest for the Wicked for people that didn't hear that episode, and I'm still a little upset at you two for your takes on that game. Okay,
we just tell it like it is.
I'm going to tell you boys right now, this game is not either of those. So, it's not something you're looking forward to playing, and it's not something you're dreading playing. So that's our first tease here. Okay. So I'll tell you what, since I said we're going to tease the game a little bit, let me read you the Steam description. Okay? Because I'm pretty sure that neither one of you have ever heard of this game before. I had heard of it vaguely, and I went, wait, I think I know that game. And then I went and watched some videos of it, and then I said, I remember seeing the name of this game, but I knew nothing else about it at that point. So, all right. So here's the Steam description. This is a cozy management game about dying. You play Stella, ferry master to the deceased. You build a boat to explore the world, then befriend and care for spirits before finally releasing them into the afterlife. Farm, mine, fish, harvest, cook, and craft your way across mystical seas. Join the adventure as Daffodil the cat in a 2-player cooperative play. Spend relaxing quality time with your spirit passengers, create lasting memories, and ultimately learn how to say goodbye to your cherished friends. What will you leave behind?
Interesting.
Okay.
I've definitely not played this game.
Yeah.
I wonder if something will jog my memory once I have a title here, but right now it's not sounding very familiar.
I felt confident reading the Steam description on this because I did not think that it would give anything away to either one of you.
The only cat game I know is Stray. I don't think it's that.
No, you don't farm, mine, fish, harvest, cook, and craft your way across mystical seas.
That's pretty cool, though. Farming cat.
A farming cat? I mean, cats are good to have on a farm. You might be onto something, Ryan.
Oh,
Cat Farm Simulator 2024?
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so not ringing a bell. Nothing's there. Okay. I mean, from this description, maybe there's a clue at the genre of game that this might be.
Sounds a little survival-esque.
Okay. Little survival.
Simulator or survival.
Simulator survival type game. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit more info on the game. So from what I have read, and I actually did play the demo for this game when I found out about the game, because there is a demo. I will start off by saying, this is definitely not my kind of game, boys.
Here we go.
Now, that's not to say anything about the game, because I'll give you another hint. We'll get into it here in just a second. But this game is very well received, by the way. But for me, this is not my kind of game. So number one, Cykasniber, good call, not making me play this one. But I do have a feeling that whoever gets picked to play it, I think this game might land for one.
Well, and did you say it's 2-player co-op?
It does have 2-player co-op option. It's not like required, but there is the option to play with a second person.
You want a gentleman's agreement, Ryan?
I was just going to say, let's do it, buddy.
Maybe split the pot. Maybe we both pick this one up either way.
Virtual handshake right here.
Virtual handshake. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, you guys don't know what you committed to, man.
Oh no.
One of you has to play it. The other one doesn't. And you guys
fingers
both
are
just
crossed.
agreed to
Joke's on you.
It just means we're both going to start the game. If one of us hates it, we can quit as long as we're not the one that's picked.
I do wonder if it lets you do the Steam Play with Friends to where you don't both have to have the game. I bet it does.
Oh, maybe just one copy.
I bet it does. Maybe. I don't know. So, okay. So it's not my kind of game. I do think that there is a good possibility that this game does land with whoever has to pick it, though, based off of what I saw. So, there's not all just dread here. So the neat thing that I read about and I saw on this one is that it seems like this game may be a bit of an emotional, like pull on the heartstrings kind of game. And so I think that's kind of the goal from what I'm reading on this, is that this is like a very emotional journey that deals with the subject matter of death. Okay. And how people process death, and how there can be like beauty and kind of like recovery from dealing with death.
Some circle of life stuff
which
going on.
Sounds kind of heavy, but then when you read the reviews on it and you get to like, I even went on the subreddit for it, and people were like really praising the emotional nature of this game and how it helped them deal with grief and stuff like that. So that kind of tells me like, man, this sounds like one of those powerful, like hitting type games to me.
Oh, good thing I'm already dead inside.
Yes. Ryan's like, I had to play a game that he didn't want to play. So, this is like the angle that people were saying. So I guess my question for you guys is, do you like games that intentionally try to make you feel like emotions, and maybe not necessarily the happiest of emotions, like dealing with death and things like that. But a lot of times we kind of say, even if it's sadness, a la, Red Dead Redemption 2, right? Emotional impact there. We've talked about the Telltale Walking Dead games where there's a very direct emotional impact to those games. Like, how do those, like, have you guys ever played a game that really elicited like strong emotions from you?
100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I've played several. I do not mind that at all, as long as the game is well written and they earn it. So like, I recently played Under the Waves. The entire game is about grief and loss of family and coming to terms with those things. I've played games like To the Moon, which is entirely about death and going back in life and finding out about this couple and how they lived. I'm 100% for that. What I don't like is when games try to be overly manipulative and they don't earn it. So like, I know that like The Notebook is a super popular movie and tons of people love it. I kind of hate it because when I watch it, I feel like they just sat down and said, how do I make them cry? As opposed to, I've got a fantastic story and let me use video games as my channel to tell a good story. So as long as I don't feel like I'm just purely being manipulated, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm the same way. As long as they don't try to force it and try to make you feel those emotions, then heck yeah. I mean, from my dad, I famously, we all we'll tear up to Disney cartoon movies and stuff. Dude. Ever since I was a kid,
Pixar.
Or Pixar. I was watching that,
yeah.
So I'm not ashamed of it. I get sucked into these things, and then you get connected to characters, and something happens, and like on Toy Story when Jessie or whatever, and the girl leaves her out at the rest stop, and I was like, oh my gosh, she left her. Why'd she leave her?
Yeah.
So it's as long as it's natural and it happens like kind of organically within the story, then yeah, I'm all for it.
I think that's funny because I'm that same way with movies where, I love feeling emotional at something that I almost kind of have to like mentally check myself and go like, dude, this isn't that sad or that emotional. Like, why are you feeling this right now? But I can't help it. But then when you feel that and it's unintentional, that's where it kind of lands at the same time. So, okay. Well, I mean, this game definitely is going to kind of go that route, I think. Whether it's, I'm assuming it's intentional in the sense that it's talking about a deep subject matter, but I don't know that they're going to beat you over the head with it so much as like the characters and the people that you meet in the game and kind of how that transpires. Okay. Both... Paul and Ryan are both looking at me right now like, where is this game going, man? All right, let me give you some good news. Guys. All right. 95% positive Steam rating in the last 30 days for this game. 95% all-time review rating for this game out of 33,000 reviews.
That's all I need to hear.
Yeah.
If that many people like it obviously strikes a chord. So that doesn't, that to me, I'll play anything that has a 95% rating. I'll at least give it a try.
Well, one of you is going to have to try it. So, so yeah, it does seem to be very well reviewed. Like I said, if you're and I'm going to read a couple of the reviews later on once we reveal the game. It is a possible co-op game. One person would play as the main character. The other person can play as the cat. I will say in the demo, I instantly got completely lost because my one controller was controlling both characters. And I was like, what the heck is this? And I don't know how to turn it off. Now they do come out and say that the demo is a very old version of this game. So maybe the demo has just not been updated lately, but I was like, I don't know how to not play as a cat right now. And then it reminded me of the video. Like I'm here. I'm not a cat, with the lawyer and so people know what I'm talking about. All right. I know we got to go to break soon, but let me just do one other thing. Okay. So I have said this is not my style of game, but sometimes this genre can be very like relaxing almost. Okay. And I think like Stardew Valley is probably a good comparison to this game. I saw people like mentioning Stardew Valley. I like my games action oriented and chaotic and that kind of stuff. And it's funny because Cykasniber actually made the reference to Stardew Valley when I said, hey, why'd you pick this game? And, why'd you pick who you picked? And they actually mentioned Stardew Valley. But Ryan, have you ever played Stardew Valley or any of these like relaxing farming sim type games or anything like that?
I would say probably the biggest one I played was Animal Crossing.
Okay. Did you like Animal Crossing?
For a bit, and then I just got bored. I'm like, okay, and I'm like, oh, you got to do this much to build these houses or whatever. And I was like, that's kind of a lot of work, and then I would leave it. So yeah, if there's enough ease of progression, then I'd probably stick with it because I do. It's nice to just kick back and play sometimes, but yeah, that's probably the last one that I've played.
For what it's worth, Stardew Valley is about 10 times more complicated and 10 times more to do with progression.
Oh no.
Compared to Animal Crossing. So I think you would actually probably be, I think you'd be into it.
Probably.
Yeah, they're very chill games, and I get why people love them. It's just not my style of game personally, but I understand, like, I'm the rarity when it comes to that. So, okay. And then Paul, this game has fishing in it. I mean, any game with fishing is an automatic, like, top 60 in your leaderboard, right?
Only reason I like Red Dead 2. Okay. Just the fishing.
It's certainly not the gameplay. We all know that.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 gameplay.
No, I think I would struggle to think of a game with fishing that I don't like.
All right. Well, it does have fishing in it, Paul. So, we're off on the right foot there. Okay. Enough beating around the bush. Let's reveal the game. The game is a game called Spiritfarer.
Okay.
Spiritfarer. Have either of you heard of that title?
I don't think so.
No. Never.
No? Okay. Lots of confused looks. I'll tell you what, we got to go to break. And then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the game, and then we'll reveal who has to play it. So we'll be back in just a minute.
If you're an athlete, you know the greatest motivator of all is the fear of letting your teammates down. After all, a team is only as good as its weakest link. So you owe it to those wearing the same jersey as you to be your best every time you step on the field. That's why there's no vape in team. When you vape, you can expose your lungs to toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs. If you're a step behind, the team's a step behind. Brought to you by The Real Cost and the FDA.
All right, we are back. Okay, Paul, Ryan, during the break, you guys had a chance to watch the trailer for Spiritfarer, so you guys have a little bit of an idea of what this game is actually about. I heard some oohing, some awing. Paul got excited with the fishing. Ryan said that he saw Mufasa. And so what are your initial thoughts now that you've seen the game? Is there fear? Is there trepidation? Is there excitement? Like, let's be honest with everybody here.
I don't know that I would say... I don't know that I'd say fear or trepidation. I don't know that I would say excitement, but I will say this game looks made for the Switch. I'm pretty sure I'll buy this on my Switch.
Yes, It is available on Nintendo Switch as well. So
nice. Yeah, I ironically enough, I have been looking for a game to play on the Switch. Like, late at night, you kind of don't feel like sitting at the computer and playing. Just lay in bed before play for 30, 40 minutes. I was actually talking to people about getting Balatro. So sorry, all you Balatronites. What would you call them?
But I like Balatronauts.
Balatronaut.
Yeah, I like that.
But I guess if it's me, then Paul and I already have our gentleman's agreement. So maybe we'll play this one
both. I don't know if the co-op is like online or if it's only local.
Like
I don't know. I honestly I don't know.
Screen.
So okay. So I'll give you guys a couple little quick facts about the game, and then we'll announce which host has to play it. So here's a couple development facts. The game's subject matter and writing were inspired by personal losses that the developers experienced before the pandemic happened.
Okay.
So there is actually some true like personal emotion that this game is based on. The developers spent time researching end-of-life care facilities and asking staff for personal stories about loved ones to help develop the characters in the game.
Oh, wow.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
I feel like you
neat.
can always tell when you watch stuff about grief. You can tell when it's someone who's just making things up versus someone who's actually lived through it. So I think that's really cool. It's going to feel authentic.
Yeah. I love this one just because I'm a huge fan of Studio Ghibli, but the developers also drew inspiration from the Studio Ghibli film Spirited Away and wanted to include a hotel for spirits in the game.
Oh, wow.
Spirited Away is a great movie. I'm all aboard.
I think it's the best Studio Ghibli movie, in my opinion. Okay, and then last one, the developers included stories of their own loved ones who had passed away, which inspired the characters' stories, such as Gwen's lung cancer and Alice's dementia.
Oh, wow.
So this game sounds kind of heavy, right?
Yeah.
Heavy, intense.
But then when you watch, I watched the trailer with you guys, and the art style in this game is beautiful. It's colorful.
Yeah.
There's fireflies. Everything is bright and vivid, and it's like, it's very strange to me to have a game that presents itself like so happy, but then is dealing with a subject matter that nobody ever wants to talk about or deal with, So I'm actually very curious to see how this game lands with one of you, in how it's like it's presented, but with the subject matter that it deals with at the same time. So I'm curious. Okay, so we have talked about the reviews of this game. You guys have seen some gameplay footage. I've given you some development tidbits. You guys have both said, hey, you're just kind of curious at this point. All right, it's time to reveal who's going to play this one.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
All right. It is Paul. Paul, you got picked to play this one.
Is it because I'm such a Stardew Valley fan?
It's 100%. So, Cykasniber, I did say, hey, what's the game? And he said, I picked Spiritfarer. And I went, I think I've heard of that game. And then so I quickly checked Steam. And then Cykasniber said, I'm picking a real cozy game called Spiritfarer, which is very similar to Stardew Valley. And that's why I want to hand this one over to Paul, seeing as he loves that game.
Oh,
100%. I love Stardew. It's one of my all-time favorites.
Well, Cykasniber seems to think that because you live Stardew Valley, you like a good story, you like interesting characters, they think that this is going to land with you. And so the whole genre thing in the beginning that I was kind of asking you guys is like, this seems like a chill game, man.
Yeah.
Seems like a very, like you said, play it on the Switch, laying in bed, laying on the couch, just getting into the characters
almost
and
like
the story there.
Yeah, like a palate cleanser, like kind of this, like a soft reset.
Or like a bedtime story,
Yeah,
almost,
yeah.
Like that's kind of how I would envision like playing this game, I guess.
So if we get to do multiplayer and play online, do I get to be Paul's cat and then like attack his legs?
I would say you probably need to be the cat since Paul is the chosen one.
I think that's fair.
All right.
Be the main character. Okay, so Paul, it's you. You've seen the trailer. What are your hopes for this? Like, what could it do right? Where could it go right? Where could it go wrong for you?
If it's a good, pleasant story, like I know death freaks a lot of people out. And part of it also kind of depends on like your own personal faith and how you view all those things. Death is one of the very few things that we all share together. I don't think it's anything to fear. I certainly don't personally. So if it's going to be taking like a beautiful look at life and how death is a part of it, and it kind of unifies all of us, we're all in the same boat, and it has interesting storytelling along. I love simulation games. So if we're talking about stuff like mining, farming, cooking, crafting, I'm all about it. I also love the idea of like building up this ship. It kind of has like a Terraria style look, like when you build your base where it's, the 2D side scroller look. And that's what this looks like here. I'm all about it. I'm for it. If it's good emotional storytelling, couple interesting simulation gameplay elements to keep you interested, I'm all about it.
Yeah,
and
crafting,
and there's fishing.
And there's fishing. I was going to say crafting, building, characters, story, fishing. I do feel like this is up Paul's alley. That was actually kind of the next question is, Ryan, for this type of game, I think Cykasniber picked the perfect host to play this one. I think they knew right away, this is not my kind of game. You would be a little bit of the wild card because I'm not sure you've played a lot of games like this. So it's like and to be fair, I feel like you would be a little bit more emotionally pliable than Paul in that regard. Not that Paul's not a softie, but he just doesn't show his emotions as readily, as like I think you would in that that regard. So
yeah, like I was saying, we'll be watching something, and then the kids will always like look over, Dad, So yeah. I'm sure I'll be in bed on the Switch, and then Sarah will just look up. Are you crying?
Yeah,
I just got something in both of my eyes.
The fan just dropped some dust in my eye.
In both of my eyes and my nose, and I have allergies. And leave me alone. No,
my eyes are a little sweaty today.
Exactly.
To quote Flight of the Conchords.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Let me read a couple quick reviews, and then we'll wrap this one up here. But I just kind of want to set the stage a little bit. So, positive review, 26 hours on record. And it says, this game was gifted to me during a very tough time in my life. Playing this game in a grieving state isn't a requirement, no, but doing so elevates the experience to a personal level. I don't think my review is unique in this way either. The game doesn't pretend to hold all the answers, and it certainly isn't a cure-all, but I am ever grateful for the solace it provided me during one of the hardest periods of my life.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's some deep words from a Steam reviewer, man.
I've also been living in a state of constant grief for about 7 years. So we've got that box checked.
Maybe this will be a journey for Paul. You never know. Okay, this next one, not recommended, 4 hours on record. Okay, I can see that the game had a lot of effort put into it, and I really want to like it for its cute art style and very cool premise. I sadly can't because this is one of the most boring games I've ever played with absolutely no progression in terms of gameplay. The story is cute and sad and all that. The soundtrack and art is good, but as a game, Spiritfarer just fails.
Okay. By the way, I love when criticism is just, it's bad.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This art is bad.
All right. And then this last one is recommended, 18 hours on record. I love games that make me feel calm, safe, and relaxed, and then emotionally destroy me. What a fun experience.
Nice. I love it.
So, all right. Paul, closing thoughts. Where do you think this is going to land on your leaderboard? And then just kind of, where you at with this? Close us out on your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so looking at my leaderboard, I would say the two closest things, and this is me knowing 1% about Spiritfarer. I don't know a whole lot. I have Stardew Valley number 7 on my deep dive leaderboard, and the only other game that I would say looks somewhat similar is RimWorld, which I have at 17.
Ooh.
And that's out of a deep dive of 107 games.
Jeez.
So just in looking at the trailer, this is 100% the kind of game I would pick up and play, especially something like if I bought on PC and I know I have 2 hours and I could always refund it. This is exactly the kind of game I would pick up and give a shot. So I think I'm going to probably like it quite a bit. I don't know that I'll like it as much as those other entries because those are two of my favorite.
Yeah.
And very iconic. Yeah, 2 of the highest rated on Steam of all time. I'm going to just kind of guess somewhere around 30-ish, which is like putting it around Diablo 4, Deep Rock Galactic, Final Fantasy 16, Splitgate. I'm kind of guessing it'll... Yeah, I think I'm going to like it quite a bit. I like what I'm hearing.
I want to know when this is done. When we come back to do the deep dive, the 2 things I'm most curious about is, did the gameplay land for you? And did the emotional part of it land for you? Like, those are the 2 things for you specifically, from my point of view, that I'm super curious about. Is like, was the gameplay fun? Because you like Stardew Valley. I don't. I think the gameplay's boring. I'm sorry to all the Stardew Valley lovers out there.
You're in the 2%.
I am. I fully admit that. But for me, the gameplay is just like, okay, whatever. And then... I'm very curious if like the emotionalness to this game actually resonates with you, or if you kind of go, I get what they were trying, but it was too ham-fisted.
Yeah. And that's a big thing too. It's very easy to go overboard, make it sappy, and it's not really well written. And then that's my biggest fear, where I would push away the story.
Yeah. All right, well, that is it for this pre-dive episode. Once again, thank you to Cykasniber for going legendary and picking this game and picking it for Paul. Thank goodness it wasn't me. Ryan dodges this one, but we got another pre-dive coming up in a few weeks, and we know it's not Paul on that one, so it's either going to be me or Ryan on that one. But we will be back in 2 weeks to deep dive this game, hear all of Paul's thoughts on it, find out the ins and outs of this game, what he thought and kind of how it landed. So make sure you come back in 2 weeks to check that out. And don't forget to follow the show, tell your friends, visit us on our Discord server. The link is in the episode description. And if you want to support the show, you can do that by heading over to multiplayersquad.com. Until next time, I'm your secondary host. I don't know how to close this out. How do you do this, Paul? How do you close the show? I don't know.
Until next time, happy gaming.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.
See ya.
All right. See you, everybody.